Okay, so we've all been hearing the buzz lately, haven't we, about recent government announcements here in Malaysia?
Yeah, things like the cash aid, changes to fuel subsidies, even those public holidays popped up.
Exactly. And on the surface, it, you know, it feels like good news.
Yeah.
Pretty straightforwardly good, right?
Mm.
A moment for everyone to just breathe a sigh of relief.
You'd think so. But it's funny, isn't it? When these big announcements drop, what often really grabs your attention isn't just the news itself.
It's the reaction, the public reaction. And this time, wow, it's peeled back some really fascinating, maybe even unexpected layers of how people are feeling.
Absolutely. It's more complicated than it looks.
So that's what this deep dive is about today. We're not
Right.
just going to report what happened. We want to explore the really intricate ways different people here are interpreting these moves, going way beyond just a simple thank you.
Or a surface level welcome. Yeah.
We'll look at the immediate responses, sure, but then we need to zoom out, look at the broader political stuff that might be, going on behind the scenes.
It's like trying to figure out a puzzle, isn't it? Why does apparently good news get such different, well, takes?
Right. And what do these reactions really signify beyond just, say, economic help? Let's try and peel back these layers together. So, okay, these announcements land. You might naturally expect, I don't know, a wave of just universal cheer. Everyone's saying thanks.
That would be the simple version, yeah. But the feedback we've actually been seeing, it's much more nuanced, really quite fragmented.
We've basically seen like three distinct types of reactions bubbling up from the public. Each one tells a slightly different story.
And what's really fascinating, I think, is how quickly that public opinion splits, even when the news seems positive, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
So first up, you've got the straightforward group, the ones expressing gratitude.
The expected response.
Exactly. They thank the prime minister, they thank the government. For them, it's direct aid, a clear policy change, and they credit the people in charge. Simple as that.
This is the kind of response that, probably reinforces existing loyalties, right?
Hmm.
Boosts the government's standing a bit.
Precisely. It's the traditional appreciative reaction.
Okay, then there's this second group. Bit more, what's the word? Pragmatic, maybe a little cynical.
Yeah, cynical fits sometimes. They acknowledge the help, the relief, sure, but they see it as, well, not enough.
Or just temporary, like this is
Okay.
great for now, but what about next month? That kind of thing.
Exactly. You hear things like, oh, it's just a drop in the ocean, or this won't really change anything long term.
But interestingly, even with that cynicism, there's often this um, grudging acceptance.
Right. It's that better something than nothing feeling, or, short-term help is better than no help at all.
It's a real mix, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
frustration, maybe some disillusionment, but also just practical need. They'll take what they can get.
And that signals something important, I think. It shows that even with the aid, there's this underlying dissatisfaction that hasn't gone away. It could easily bubble up again later.
Okay, so that's two groups. But this is where it gets really interesting, I think.
Ah, the third reaction, yes. This one is, well, it's quite thought-provoking.
What happens when people start thanking someone completely different for the good news?
Exactly. We saw a significant chunk of the public, especially online, starting to thank the opposition coalition.
For government
So
announcement.
the government's announcements, yeah. It wasn't just a few comments either. It was a noticeable trend, a real counter-narrative taking shape.
Okay, hold on. This is the part that needs unpacking. Why? Why on earth would people thank the opposition for something the government did?
Well, the argument being put forward quite strongly in some circles is that things like the RM100 aid or the RN95 price cut, they didn't just happen out of the blue.
They see them as a direct result.
A direct consequence, yeah. Or maybe even a forced outcome resulting from the opposition's recent actions. Specifically, that whole topple the government campaign that was getting a lot of attention.
Ah, right. So the thinking is, without that pressure, without the opposition making noise and, mobilizing people,
The government wouldn't have felt the need, or wouldn't have been forced, as some put it, to roll out these benefits.
so it's less about government generosity and more about political survival,
Mm,
responding to a threat.
that's the narrative. And it's often framed very powerfully with that Malay proverb.
Which one?
The one about the situation being critical, like the egg already on the bull's horn.
Ah, okay. Implying extreme urgency, like they only acted because things were right on the edge.
Precisely.
Hmm.
It paints a picture of a government acting purely under duress. And this line of thinking suggests the opposition's efforts, even if aimed at toppling, are actually benefiting the people.
By forcing the government's hand.
Exactly, pushing them into a corner where they have to deliver something tangible. Some commentators even started saying, half jokingly perhaps, that maybe these topple campaigns should happen more often if this is the result.
Wow. That's a pretty pointed message, isn't it? About how political action, even confrontation, can lead to public benefit.
Even if it's an unintended consequence from the government's perspective.
So, okay, let's piece this all together. When you look at all these reactions, especially that really striking thank the opposition angle, it starts to feel less like a simple story about economic relief, doesn't it?
Oh, much less. It feels much more like, well, like watching a high-stakes game of political chess play out.
Yeah. Every announcement, every policy suddenly seems to have these extra layers of political calculation and public interpretation underneath.
And if you step back and connect it to the bigger picture, some analyses suggest this isn't really a new dynamic for Malaysia.
I mean, we've seen this kind of thing before. Opposition pressure leading to government concessions.
Exactly. There's a historical narrative there. The argument is that the opposition did manage to apply significant pressure this time, creating a political climate where the administration felt compelled to respond.
And that response, then, is seen by some as, well, strategic political maneuvering rather than just organic policy.
That's the critical take, yes. It's a pragmatic view. You give people things when you need to keep things stable or when you need to head off a challenge.
Which, from the opposition's perspective or their supporters, might not actually be seen as a bad thing, strategically speaking.
How do you mean?
Well, the argument could be that by creating that pressure, by shaking things up a bit, the opposition forced the government to deliver something real to the people.
Ah, I see. So even if the government's motive was strategic or reactive.
The outcome is still a tangible benefit. It demonstrates the power of political pressure, maybe. A win for the opposition strategy, even if they didn't achieve the ultimate goal of toppling the government right then.
That's a valid interpretation, but it does lead straight into that critical view of these announcements themselves.
Right. The question becomes, are these actual fundamental reforms, things that will genuinely improve the economy long term?
Or are they what some observers, maybe a bit dismissively, call political candy or political gimmicks?
Political candy. Implying something sweet but short-lived.
Precisely. The critique is that while they might help right now ease the pressure for a week or two, they don't fundamentally change anything deep down.
The money gets spent, it's gone next month, fuel prices could go back up, the underlying issues, they're still there.
Exactly. No deep systemic change comes from these kinds of measures, according to this view.
And it's a really valid point, isn't it? Do these one-off reliefs truly shift the long-term economic landscape? Many people argue quite strongly that they don't.
So if they don't bring long-term change, what is their purpose, according to this analysis?
Well, it's seen as more about deflecting immediate political threats, maybe discouraging big crowds at opposition rallies, for example.
Or just generally calming down public unrest that might be simmering?
Yeah. It's about managing perceptions, cooling the temperature down politically, not really about solving the root causes of why people are feeling the pinch in the first place. It's like putting a plaster on a wound instead of treating the infection.
And this brings us to a really crucial point, I think. If we start looking at these announcements mainly as political tools, tools designed to relieve immediate pressure, manage how people feel,
then how we evaluate them, how we judge their worth, changes completely, right?
it has to. Consider the RM100 handout again. Giving that to everyone, you're talking billions added to the national debt, potentially.
Huge sums of money.
And from a purely long-term economic development view, you could argue that same money would be much better spent elsewhere.
Like where?
Well, think about foundational things. Investing in really good vocational training programs to create skilled jobs. Or upgrading hospitals that desperately need it. Building better public transport. Things that pay off for decades.
Exactly. Logically, you think, wouldn't investing in infrastructure or skills be far better for the country's future? And the answer is often, probably yes.
But, and this is the crucial but,
Here's the rub. People don't feel the benefit of a new hospital wing that opens in 5 years when they're struggling today. Right now, this week.
They can't pay their bills today with a promise of a better road tomorrow.
They feel that RM100 in their pocket now. They feel the lower fuel price when they fill up the tank today. It's immediate. It's tangible. It addresses that daily pressure.
Precisely. So while those big long-term projects might genuinely bring greater national good down the line, they don't do much to stop that feeling of suffocation, you could call it, that many people feel right now with the cost of living.
And that feeling, that immediate frustration, that's what can push people towards protests or towards looking for completely different leaders.
Especially certain groups of voters, perhaps those who feel less tied to any particular party and are just looking for whoever can ease their immediate burden.
So governments get caught in this bind, don't they? Balancing that long-term vision with the need to, well, keep people from reaching boiling point right now.
It's a classic political dilemma.
So, okay, if you look at these policies through the lens of, say, how do we make fundamental, lasting improvements to the country? They might score pretty low, 0, even negative points maybe, economically speaking. But if you switch lenses and see them as a strategic response to a political crisis, a calculated move to cool things down, manage perceptions, get back on a stable footing politically,
Then suddenly the assessment of whether they worked or were effective looks very different. It's not about grand policy anymore.
it's about savvy political management, crisis handling.
Exactly. And ultimately what many observers conclude is that these government actions are, in a way, a show, a performance.
A strategic performance designed to counter the opposition's own show, their rallies, their campaigns, their pressure.
Both sides are deeply engaged in this game of influencing public perception, public emotion in the now.
And that maybe is just politics, raw politics, a constant back and forth, lots of gray areas, no easy black and white answers.
It really highlights how tightly policy decisions and political survival are woven together. Sometimes you can't separate them.
So, yeah, what started out looking like simple announcements about aid and subsidies, it turns out to be this really intricate dance. Public perception, economic pressures, political strategy, all tangled up.
It's a powerful reminder, isn't it, that what seems like a straightforward decision on the surface almost always has these deeper layers of strategic thinking and invites so many different interpretations from the public.
We've seen how something presented as immediate relief can, quite convincingly actually, be viewed as a calculated political move, designed to navigate a crisis, maybe shift the story.
And understanding that, I think, helps us appreciate just how complex things are, how politics and how people feel are constantly interacting, shaping what happens in the country.
Absolutely. And it kind of leaves us with this final thought. For you listening, the next time you hear about a major government announcement, could be anything, economic aid, a new policy, maybe even just a public holiday. How will you assess it?
Will you just take it at face value?
Or will you try to look beyond the immediate effect? Think about those underlying political currents. Consider the different reasons behind it, the different ways people might be reading it. What stands out to you now, having thought about all this? This public reaction and political strategy, something to mull over?